JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. June 18th, about 3:28 here. Going to talk really quick about the markets. Not much to talk about today. Uh, talk about some of the trades and then some of the names I'm looking at. And then also don't forget the market is closed tomorrow. Feel free to stop in tomorrow, but by all means, market is closed. So the SPY, well, the S&P traded in an extremely tight range today, all the way up near what we hit 540. 548.62. So it's a 0.3% trading range, very tight trading range. If you look at the candle, it's one of the smallest candles we've had since quite some time. And also the volume is almost lackluster. I guess that's a good sign if considering the markets are at highs. So you would think if people want to take profits, now would be the time. And the fact that the market's holding up, that's, I think that bodes well. So we'll have to see how the rest of the week plays out. We had the retail sales numbers come out this morning, weaker than expected, and that's a good thing. I mean, I hate to say bad data is a good thing, but I think uh, that bodes well. And then, we have Thursday and Friday. So probably that 550 area on the SPY. The upper Bollinger Band right now is at 549.05. So a close underneath that, I think, is a good thing as well. And then, yeah, so hopefully some more opportunities this week. Another good sign here is the small caps, although it's making lower highs. So the IWM is up a quarter of a percent right at its 200-day moving average, which is 201.36, but it's lower highs and lower lows. So I don't know if that's the type of thing I like. Hope I keep talking about waiting for this to finally, maybe it's the next leg of this market. So I would like to see the small caps maybe next week. Next week is the end of the first half, right? So the end of the second quarter, end of the first half. So I'm sure there'll be some shenanigans next week as we head to the end of the week. I'm trying to remember which week it was. It was like the end of the month, and we had some crazy move at the end of the day. I'm pretty sure next Friday is going to be very interesting. All right, so some of the names, and you take a look at Dell, and I was surprised. So I have June 165, that is July 170s. And the July 170s I added after the July 165s because I was I thought Dell was, it was, I mean, that people should have taken profits based on the earnings, and there was some concerns around the margins and AI and all that fun stuff. But I think that was overblown. Then you had Morgan Stanley yesterday reiterating overweight rating. Dell's on CNBC, and then this whole everything that's been going on in the last 2 weeks with whether it be the Apple event, the Broadcom earnings, Adobe earnings, pretty super micro. You see all these names. This morning it's HP, but the spinoff of HP with the deal with NVDA. So it just all plays into this hype, and I think it's going to continue, especially when I look at Dell. So the Morgan Stanley note actually said they have a 155 price target and a possibility of 200. And I won't be surprised to see more FOMO in the coming weeks. So I just posted that chart. That's my chart I've had for since at least the middle of March. And those are the two important lines for me. So the support resistance, if we can get over 162 or so in the next couple days, I think it's off to the races, new all-time highs in the coming weeks. I'm not going to add anything just yet. I was lucky. I wouldn't say lucky, but I locked some of my July strikes in to cover costs and another little batch for some profits. And my 160s with 65s were coming back to life on the June strikes. Going to need a huge movement to the end of the week. I wouldn't rule anything out. I didn't think that Dell would rally. It was up over 7% at times today, and that's on the heels of yesterday's rally. So I just think more highs are coming. So that's that. I did not know I didn't hit the button. Sorry about that, folks. I just did my rant for about 5 minutes, and I didn't have the button pushed. This will be uploaded, folks, so it'll be up in the next 8 minutes anyway. I apologize for that. So I was just talking about Dell. So I posted my chart on Dell. So I'll move on. HPQ, the bull flag, still playing out here. And again, HP Enterprises had that deal with NVIDIA or news this morning. HPQ is not the fastest, most volatile name. So for it to be up nearly 2% today, I think that's a good thing. And then once it breaks out of that bull flag, let's see if I can post that in the chat room. 140, 42 actually is where it probably goes in the short term. And then I did my rant a couple of weeks ago after their earnings, and you start doing the comparisons with some of these names, and I don't think any AI tailwinds are baked into HPQ, and not that their business is as anywhere close to what Dell is in regards to servers and all that fun stuff, but there is an opportunity. And then that whole the new buzzword, right? Is the refresh cycle with AI, the refresh with phones, computers, chips, graphic card, whatever, whatever it is. That's the new buzzword, and I'm sure that plays right into HPQ's hands. So, not the most fun name to watch, but definitely I think it heads higher in the coming weeks. Not going to talk too much about Turn. It seemed like the last couple days it was just trading flat, and well, yesterday was trading somewhat flat, and I said, "Wow, it's a good sign. It's holding its gains." And then it did what it did a couple weeks ago, where it had this big pull, no news, was down over 10% at times, but it's still holding the channel. So if you look at the Turn chart, it's still in an uptrend. I mean, unfortunately, going to be moves like this. It seemed like I put it on FinTwit and in the chat room that it's like the buyers went to the beach today, and they'll be back. I think we'll be back over 8 before the week's out. So still love Turn. Uh, Universal Display, I was looking for strikes. It's not moving too much today. Got up to, I think it hit 209 in the morning. I still have the 220 strikes. The premiums are not doing much on those. So I might wait to add some Universal Display calls at the end of the week after right before my June strikes expire. Just because if it just trades here, it's just going to kill the premium. So I don't want to be in a situation where it just stays flat into Friday I'm looking at the probably July 240s, but maybe the July 230s if those premiums come down. That's Universal Display. I'm trying to think. That's about all I had. The names I had on the list here. Chewy today, and Cohen, Ryan Cohen of now GameStop fame. It was one of the reasons that GameStop went on the big run. If he didn't get the big stake in GameStop, probably maybe the run still happens. I don't think so though. But he took GameStop, he took Chewy from. You would think who would want to get into a business that has uh, not tons of competition. You have Amazon. You're going to get into home delivery for pet products. Some of that's not high margin, and then they were able to be successful. And just it speaks volumes when you drive around and it's a recycle day, depending on where you live, and there's Chewy boxes out on the curb, right? So uh, that you just remarkable. So I'm not saying he's going to do the same thing with GameStop, but maybe some of the run here today has to do with folks trying to, I don't know, play both stocks. Is Chewy going to become the next GameStop? 13% short interest. So I had the Chewy calls 2 earnings ago. The stock was at 16 or 17, goes up to 20 in the after hours. I'm like, it was looking good for my calls. And then it reversed and sold off despite the huge beat and raise. And then the next quarter, its most recent quarter, it did the same thing. Great quarter, beat and raise. But then they announced that I think it was a 500 million share buyback, and then the stock held the gains and rallied. So not much difference. The only difference, I wasn't into calls, right? So kind of frustrating. Not saying I'm getting Chewy calls here. I know Asphalt Cowboy did well on those calls today. I think he added some more, but definitely it may be a name I'm going to continue to look at probably today and tomorrow. And then don't be surprised if you see me add some, uh, Thursday or even Friday. Trying this Apple reverse course. There was news out before the close yesterday that they were getting rid of what their buy now pay later or whatever it was, and stock sold off, and then it was rallying this morning, and then all the way back down to 213. It's probably going to chop around here before maybe the next leg on Apple. I'm trying to think of some of the other names I was looking at. That's about it. Celsius, I was looking at when it sold off on that downgrade, and the stock, you would think it's a great momentum name, and it reversed from $95 at the end of May all the way down to I think it was $58 yesterday, and finally starting to bounce. Easy Trader got some calls. That's another name. It's certainly, I wouldn't call it similar to Kava, because Kava's going to be $100 soon. But I used this analogy a couple of weeks ago in regards to Monster and Monster, the Monster drink, and that was back in the day. I don't even know, 2012 we used to trade it, and it kind of has the same vibes, except back take it back 10 years ago, right? I mean, that's what it feels like to me. That is a name that can continue to go. So don't be surprised to see me get calls on that one as well. And I think that's about it. Was 30 new highs so far this year, so this will be 31 if we close in the green. At some point there'll be some pullback for no other reason than folks taking profits. And sometimes those pullbacks happen when there's no crazy catalyst. There's no jobs report. There's no the CPI data. There's no Fed meeting. And then it has everybody wondering, what was that big sell-off between 3 and 4 o'clock? That's happened quite a few times. We do have Fed speak on Thursday and Friday. So that certainly is something to watch. I think I have the schedule, so I'll post that and watch this on Thursday. And that's about it, folks. Hope everybody has a great afternoon. Again, markets are closed tomorrow. See you all Thursday. Rock and roll. And again, this will be up on audio. I'll post it in the chat room in about 10 minutes.